Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the session. My name is Hyun Lee. I am the director of actiu, Catalonia Trade and Investment Seoul office in Republic of Korea. South Korea stands in sixth place globally in terms of the number of homegrown unicorns after the United States, China, United Kingdom, and India. The strong movement of VCs support this to happen, obviously. Starting with the IT boom in 2000, the startup ecosystem has been raised through the years as much as the venture capital. For the last 4 years, it grew exponentially and reached its highest peak in 2020, even under the circumstances of the global pandemic. We, Actiu Seoul office, work proactively connecting both Korean and Catalan startup ecosystems since past couple of years. Today's webinar and the pitching session is one of the activities that we plan to organize every year, started from last year. We are doing it all online due to the pandemic, but we hope to see you all in person in the near future in Seoul or in Barcelona. Today, we have invited very distinguished investors from South Korea. Within the short time, you will be able to understand the startup ecosystem in South Korea, especially in bio and health sector, as well as to get to know the VCs and what they are looking for in the sectors. We'd love to hear from you. We will have a brief Q&A session at the end of the presentation. You can submit your question through the chat room and vote with likes for the questions that the others posted. We will reply the most popular one at the Q&A sessions if the time permits us. If not, the rest of them, we will respond to you directly in the following days. And now I present you our special guest, the keynote speaker, Dr. Seül, the chairman and the CEO of Inverteixen, former president and CEO of Samsung Medical Center. He also was a chairman and CEO of Cha Group, an international conglomerate of healthcare companies and hospitals from Korea. He's a very well-respected infectious disease physician with a notable management experience. We are very pleased to hear his speech today. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Seül. Please feel free to start.
Thank you. And can you see my slides?
Yes, everything's good.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Lee. Buenos dias. It's my pleasure to talk about the ecosystem of life sciences and healthcare startups and investment trends in South Korea. For the next 15 minutes, I'll briefly summarize 3 major topics, including governmental strategies to innovate the biohealthcare industry in Korea, the recent investment trend and the current status in Korea, and finally, I'd like to briefly introduce my company, Mint Bench Partners, to you. First of all, I'd like to briefly touch on the the governmental strategies to innovate the biohealthcare industry in Korea. The biohealthcare industry has been booming in Korea for the past 10 years, and it becomes one of the leading future industries in Korea. The President Moon of Korea announced the national strategies to innovate the biohealth industry in Korea in 2019. And this is the Korea's biohealth innovation strategy as shown here. This strategy includes 4 major projects: the big data platform, including national bio big data project, investment of more than 2.9 billion euros in R&D until 2025, establishing a scale-up fund of more than 1.4 billion euros for 5 years, and a faster approval of novel drugs and medical devices. Particularly, Korean government is focusing on 3 major industry fields for supporting the R&D programs, including biohealth, next generation automobile, and non-memory chip. About a month ago, the Korean government announced the next year's national budget plan that showed the 6.3 trillion won, or 4.6 billion euros, will be invested in these three major fields. And obviously, biohealthcare industry is the leading field with the most amount of investment by Korean government. Specifically, the Korean government is focusing on four major areas of the biohealthcare industry, including K-Global Vaccine Hub, developing new drugs and devices, developing innovative technologies, especially focusing on various neurological diseases, and the ecosystem, including regulatory innovation. Let me show you some representative examples of the very special system in Korea to innovate the biohealthcare industry. The Korea Fund of Funds was established in 2005 to provide a secure capital source for the venture investment in startups. Korea Fund of Funds is a major LP of the partnership funds which are raised by venture capitals in Korea. Up to now, a total of 5.1 billion euros were invested in almost 8,000 startups in Korea, including the biohealthcare startups. Another system is TIPS, that stands for the Tech Incubator Program for Startup, which is actively supporting the startups at the earliest stage of incorporation. The TIPS is to identify and nurture the most promising startups with innovative ideas and groundbreaking technologies. For TIPS programs, the accelerators are TIPS partners that invest 72,000 euros in tech startups, and the Korean government also provides the R&D matching fund to the tech startups. And these tech startups can return just 10% of matching fund to government if the company becomes successful in developing their business. About half of the tech startups that are supported by TIPS program are biohealthcare startups. Also, there is a very special system for Korean biotech company startups to be listed in the stock market, which is the technology-based special listing system by Costa. So by this system, the biotech startups can be listed in Costa if they have innovative technologies or pipelines, even though they don't show any significant revenue or profit. Since 2014, almost 100 startups were listed by this system in the Costa, and 70% of the startups that were listed by this system were biohealthcare startups. So if I summarize the general ecosystem of investment in biohealthcare industry in Korea, the both public and private systems are actively supporting the startups from incorporation to the exit of the company. When the entrepreneur is creating a new startup with innovative technologies, the TIPS program can help entrepreneurs by supporting initial TIPS fund, which can be used for R&D programs. And when the company wants to get additional funds from venture capitals, the Korea Fund of Funds can be a major LP of those venture capital funds. And finally, technology-based special listing system can help the startups be listed in the Kosdaq, not based on the profit or revenue, but based on the innovative technologies and pipelines. Let me briefly mention the current status of investment in biohealthcare industry in Korea. The biohealthcare industry is obviously the #1 area in terms of the amount of investment in Korea, followed by ICT industry. Last year, about 30% of venture capital investment were given to the biohealthcare startups, and we are expecting the further increase in the amount and proportion of the investment in biohealthcare industry this year. And the number of venture capitals in Korea has been continuously increasing for the past 10 years, and the total amount of investment in biohealthcare industry in Korea by venture capitals was 870 million euros last year. And the major categories of investment in bioscale startups in Korea include the new therapeutics, especially new anti-cancer agents, new diagnosis and medical devices, followed by medical care. Recently, Korean venture capitals are trying to innovate the business model and the investment strategies. One of the major trends we are seeing for now is the number of venture capitals which specialize for investment in biohealthcare startups is increasing. And more venture capitals are interested in early stage investment in biotech startups, although the amount of investment is still less than expected compared with other industry areas. Another important change is the emergence of a new business model, the company builder model in Korea. Obviously, Mint Venture Partners, my company, is one of the most representative examples of this company builder model in Korea. And the Korean venture capitals are more and more interested in the cross-border investment. And actually, some venture capitals are very active in this cross-border investment for now. Another major trend of the investment in biohealth industry in Korea is led by large corporations or the conglomerates in Korea, like Samsung, LG, SK, or CJ. These conglomerates want to develop a new business in the biohealthcare space, so they are looking for innovative technologies or pipelines and innovative startups in this space. To achieve this goal, they want to invest in the biohealthcare startups, and also they want to acquire the innovative startups for this purpose. And these are the major examples of the M&A of startups by large conglomerates in Korea this year. And these conglomerates are also very active in making CVC for more active investment in biohealthcare industry. So this is a very brief introduction of the ecosystem of life sciences and healthcare startups, and also the recent trend in investment in Korea. And finally, I'd like to briefly introduce my company, Mint Venture Partners, to you. Before I founded the Mint Venture Partners, I've been working at the Samsung Medical Center in Seoul, Korea, which was founded by Samsung for 23 years as an infectious disease physician, including my career as the president and CEO of the hospital and also dean of the medical school. After leaving the hospital and university a few years ago, I've worked at the Cha Bio Group, which is an international conglomerate of the biotech and healthcare companies as chairman and CEO. And I have founded my own company, Mint Venture Partners, which is a company builder and also a strategy investor in the biohealthcare space. I believe that we can innovate the future health by creating innovative startups which have the innovative technologies. As a company builder, Mint Venture Partners is creating or founding new startups and managing the company as a co-founder. Also, we are investing in early phase startups around the world as a strategy investor. And also we are incubating and accelerating the innovative technologies and pipelines for future business development. This is the overall scheme of our business model. We are looking for the innovative technologies and pipelines, also the innovative startups from around the world. If we find innovative technologies or innovative startups, my colleagues at the Mint Venture Partners, including medical doctors, scientists, consultants, financial experts, investment experts, IP lawyer, and legal consultants, are evaluating the potential for the business development and also investment opportunities. And based on this evaluation, we are activating the Mint Company Building Program. We have 3 programs. The first one is a company creation program. It means that we found a new startup with technology inventor. And as a co-founder, we are actively joining the company for management and the development of business. The second program is investment in startups as a strategy investor. And also we are incubating the technologies and pipelines for future business development. We are focusing on diverse the areas of biotechnology, life science, and healthcare. The major focus areas include the new therapeutics and new diagnostics, especially for cancer, infectious diseases, neurologic disease, and also cardiovascular diseases. And also we are focusing on digital healthcare and personalized healthcare too. So based on this program, we have founded 3 new startups in the United States and in Korea. The Key Prodeo in Seattle, Washington, United States, in collaboration with the University of Washington and Seattle Children's Hospital, the Genome in New York, USA, in collaboration with the Columbia University, and we are just about launching the 3rd startup in Seoul, Korea, in collaboration with the University Hospital in Korea. Also, we have activated the Mint Global Biotech Private Equity Fund, and we are actively investing in biohealthcare startups around the world, including the companies in the United States, UK, Canada, and Korea. The major investment areas include the new therapeutics, medical devices, new diagnosis, and others. So I'm sure that we can have opportunities to invest in the Spanish startups in the future. And I think this meeting could be the first step for these future opportunities. So here are my colleagues at the Mint Bench Partners. You can see many experts with different specialties, and all of them are very familiar with the cross-border investment, as well as the business development with people from around the world. So I am really looking forward to having the productive and practical partnership with Catalonia, with the scientists, entrepreneurs, venture capitalists, and the company builders in Catalonia. So this is my brief introduction of the ecosystem of life sciences, healthcare startups in Korea, and also the investment trend. Thank you very much for your attention. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you so much for your presentation, Dr. Seül. I believe we have some questions. Let me check. Well, yeah, it was very informative. Well, first of all, it was very informative. I think it will help Catalan companies to understand the overall idea of Korean startup ecosystem, especially the investment trend for the biosectors. Yeah, first question is about your company. How is Mint Venture Partners different from other venture capitals? How would you describe?
Yeah, as I mentioned, Mint Venture Partners has 2 major differences from usual financial investors. So first of all, we are the company builder. So we found new startups with technology inventors. As a co-founder of the company, we are actively joining the company for business development and also for management. In terms of investment, we are not a financial investor, but a strategy investor. So when we invest in startups, we always try to add or increase the value of the company by supporting the management or consulting them. Let me tell you just one example. We recently invested in a startup in foreign country that is developing a very innovative device for neurologic disease. And they want to do the clinical trial in Korea. So we have arranged the hospitals and investigators in Korea for the clinical trial, as well as we help them contact the Korea FDA. So this kind of activity cannot be done by usual financial investors, but based on our strong network in the medical community in Korea and in Asian countries, we can help them to do this activity. So this is type of the special activity by a strategy investor.
Okay, then I understand probably when you look for some startups, for example, in this case in Catalonia, it would be more those solutions or technologies who are adaptable for the Korean or Asian market, no? It would be
Yes.
your priority?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. If you don't mind, I have one more question.
Okay.
I would like to ask. We have another question. We received, so since, well, we see your portfolio there. Well, it's so far it's the Korea and then the United States. There are no European startup you have worked previously. Do you think there are any barriers, or what's the challenges you think for you to invest in European startups?
Well, actually, we have reviewed a Spanish company for investment, actually. Okay. Unfortunately, we didn't invest in that company for some reasons. But we were very impressed with a very high level of science in Spain. So I'm sure that we will have the many opportunities to invest in the European companies, including Spain.
Okay. 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 Well, thank you so much for your time and the presentation. We hope to actually find a fruitful outcome from this session or even the future collaboration. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so now we will move to the introduction of our Korean VCs. Beforehand, please let me introduce Mr. Oriol Sanz, the head of startups in Actiu head office in Barcelona. He will moderate the part with Korean VCs. Thank you, Oriol.
Okay, thank you, Hyun. Thank you, Hyun, for the introduction. Okay. And well, I'm Oriol Sanz and I work as the head of startups at Actiu, or Catalonia Trade and Investment. And regarding startups, we advise them on the best funding mix, and we promote the internationalization of the Catalan startups ecosystems and its startups in terms of access to international funding, like today, access to market, access to talent, or access to managerial capability. So let me remind you that a chat where you can ask questions is open to all. So please specify to whom you are asking the question, and the three most voted or at least the most voted questions are going to be asked to the VCs, okay? Bearing in mind that we have time restrictions. So please, VCs, have your presentations ready in case you are going to share a presentation, and in case if you are not going to share a presentation, just be ready. And the first fund, AU IB Investment, that is going to be introduced by Mr. Oscar Song. It's going to be introduced by Oscar Song. So please, Mr. Song, the screen is yours.
Good afternoon. Buenas tardes. I am Oscar. I am currently investment manager at AU IB Investment. So let me introduce my company briefly. So AU IB Investment is one of the leading venture capital in South Korea and is managing approximately 1.5 billion USD fund asset. So due to have various types of funds, we do not have specific fixed sectors to invest, but we do invest to miscellaneous industries such as IT, artificial intelligence, mobility, biotech, healthcare, manufacturing, and etc. So that was a brief introduction of my company, AU IB Investment. And let me introduce myself shortly. So my name is Oscar, which is, as you know, a Spanish name, by the way. And prior to my VC career, I was director of business strategy at smart waste management startup located in South Korea and United States. And I was a strategic consultant at management consulting firm. So as a venture capitalist, I am focusing on AI, mobility, and edutech industry, plus a little bit of biotech. And so thank you for inviting me to this event, and I will look forward to great companies in Barcelona. Gracias.
Okay, now we know better what you do at Ajup IB Investment. Okay, and now next investor is KB. Okay, and Miss Grace Chang is going to introduce the fund. So please go ahead.
Hello all. Let me take a few seconds to set up my video. So I do have pitching deck. Let's see. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Right, awesome. So, all right, good to meet you all. My name is Yujin Chang from KB Investment. I'm an investment manager here. You can call me Grace. So let me introduce to you our firm and myself. KB Investment, we are a top 3 VC in Korea with approximately $2 billion of AUM. And we are a subsidiary of KB Financial Group here. KB Financial Group is basically Korea's largest financial services conglomerate, and it is listed and publicly traded on both on New York Stock Exchange and Korea Stock Exchange. And KB Investment, we were established in 1990. So this marks our 31st anniversary of investment. And during the last 31 years, we've invested in over 1,100 startups, and we IPO'd almost 200 of them. And we currently have almost 30 funds. As per our investment strategy, we're domain agnostic, and we also cover seed to pre-IPO stage startups. And we also have a private equity arm as well. So likewise, our ticket size, investment ticket size ranges from $300K to as large as $20 million. And we have a wide range of bio and healthcare portfolios. And some of them are very truly amazing and changing the world. And last year, KB Investment, we were actually ranked 5th among several hundreds of VCs that invest in bio healthcare domain in Korea. And we have stellar accomplishments of IPOs within the bio and healthcare sector, such as Genomic Tree, Chunlab, BridgeBio. And we also have a separate team of professionals comprised of pharmacists and doctors that invest in bio startups, both domestic and abroad, especially in the US and Israel. As far as I know, we don't have exposure in Southern Europe, but we looked into several European biotech startups and definitely hope to look for more. Aside from traditional pharmaceutical investments, we are one of the most aggressive investors in digital healthcare. We've invested in AI radiology, imaging, AI-driven dentistry, AI-driven drug discovery, and digital therapeutics. As for myself, this is my 4th year at KB Investment. I joined on September 2018. And before that, I built trading algorithms and then invested in late-stage VC deals at a boutique private equity firm. And at KB, I invested over $30 million in total into 13 deep tech startups. And I focused on deep learning, AR, VR, and digital healthcare. To deliver my notable biotech or healthcare portfolio, I invested in Dr. Noah Biotech, which is a AI drug discovery platform, especially focused on combinational drug for neurological and orphan diseases. And they don't develop novel compounds, and they do it with AI and drug repositioning, which differentiates Dr. Noah Biotech from any other similar companies. So this is pretty much it. And I would like to express my gratitude to SEO for organizing this event. And I look forward to the upcoming pitching session delivered by future Catalan unicorns. Thank you.
Thanks, Grace. Very impressive what you are doing. So I hope that sooner or later, but better sooner, you're going to have some company from Europe in your portfolio. And if it's from Catalonia, it would be better. Well, we also have Hyo Young Kim from Mire Asset Capital. And he's going to tell us more about the firm and their investment criteria. So please, Hyo, the screen is yours.
Hola amigos, buenos días. Me llamo Hyuja, mucho gusto. This is what I know all, so nice to meet you all. I don't have any slides, just I introduce our company, myself briefly. And I'd like to appreciate for this meaningful opportunity I've given. I hope this meeting could be a stepping stone for further collaboration later on. Mire Asset is a global financial group comprising of asset management, investment banking, wealth management, insurance, venture capital, and other businesses. Total AUM is around $400 billion. Mire Asset continues to enhance its global investment capabilities with each affiliate contributing to capital growth. Mire Asset's extensive global network of 30 offices strategically positions across 14 markets, including Europe. Especially Mire Asset Capital, which I belong to, is a holding company of Mire Asset Group. We have currently 11 VC funds, total of around 2 billion AUM, are managed by 20 investment professionals covering Korea, Europe, US, China, and Southeast Asia regions. We actively invest in overseas. As a result, 70% of our portfolio is overseas investment. We invest from early stage to pre-IPO stage without stage limitation, and strategically allocate 11 funds and co-invest with other entities within Mire Asset Financial Group. So if you have any questions, I'm very happy to answer. Muchas gracias.
Hi, Hyo Young. Thank you. Okay, and now we have Shuhan Lee from venture capital from Mire Asset, and she's going to tell us what they do. Please go ahead.
Hello. Let me show my screen first. Can you see my screen?
Perfect.
Okay. Hola, I'm Juan. Actually, I'm working for the Mire Asset Venture Investment. It's under the Mire Asset Financial Group as well. And this is very short, so please see the first screen. So we are just investing the venture startups, mainly in from early to the later stages. Of course, we are mostly invest in the local companies, but also we are focusing on the global startups as well. And currently, we are running about 26 funds under the funds, and also the total fund size is about 640 million euros. And so far, we have liquidated about the 5 funds, so, and also our IRR is about 13.6%. And if we are focusing about bio and healthcare investment, we are mainly focusing on the therapeutics, but also we are just fascinated about the diagnostics and other agriculture or other fields as well. So this is just about me, and I'm actually the radiation oncologist. And before the venture capital, I worked for the 2 European pharmaceutical companies, the AstraZeneca and Sanofi. And also, I just worked for several years in hospital as a radiation oncologist. So far, I have invested several the startups, including the digital therapeutics and the just conventional therapeutics and rare disease. And currently, I'm focusing on the 4 therapeutic areas, including oncology, neurology, and immunology, and other disease areas, and including the just innovative platform or digital healthcare as well. So, and just working for the European companies, I have experience with several the Spanish companies, and I know that there are many innovations in the healthcare industries now. So I really looking forward to collaborate with some Spanish companies. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Xu Huan. Please let me remind you that we still have time for some questions. Okay, so there has been a question that has been answered by Dr. Song, but if you have more questions, just and write them down on the Q&A. Well, and finally we have Miss Chloe Young. And she works for Xinhan Venture Investment, and she's going to share with us what do they do. Please, Ms. Young, go ahead. Okay, it seems that we have a problems with the presence of Ms. Young. We had some problems and she disappeared from Zoom. So I really encourage you to ask some questions, because while Chloe tries to reconnect, we can use this time to ask questions. Okay, while we're trying to have some questions.
Oh, hello, I'm Chloe Zhang at Xinhan Venture Investment. We are all together now, so sorry for that. So yeah, let me introduce myself. So hi everyone, I am manager at Xinhan Venture Investment, and we are venture capital based on Xinhan Financial Group, which has been 20 years. So we are specialized in scale-up investment, and our average ticket size is $1 million to $10 million. And we invested $100 million every year. So in case of portfolio, biohealthcare startups takes about 30%. In my case, I have an expertise in biohealthcare, including pharmaceuticals, medical devices, and so on. And I've invested in several biohealthcare startups, such as 3 billion, which is AI-based diagnosis, and 3-2H Biotech, which is small molecule therapeutics, and others. So prior to Xinhan Venture Investment, I worked at Biothrive Korea, a cosmetic company, and Seül Hospital, and Yuanta Investment. I earned PharmD and master's degree of Pharm from Ewha Women's University. Thank you for listening and look forward to having a great time.
Okay, so thank you very much. And now we still have time for questions, but I see that you know, maybe, you know, here in Carolina it's almost 10 in the morning, and maybe people still don't feel the effect of caffeine in their brain, so they're kind of quiet. But well, we have one question, so I encourage you to ask more questions. And this question is from Magda Rosenmoller. I think it's for everybody. Okay, so if some of you want to answer, just raise your hand, and maybe it's more specifically to women investor, and her question is, what is your experience with women entrepreneurs in Korea, especially in the bio and healthcare sector? Does someone wants to ask this question?
I couldn't understand. So can you?
Well, the question is about women entrepreneurs in Korea. Okay, it's a general question. A woman being an entrepreneur.
Yeah,
a woman being a founder.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, so Chloe, you can answer if you want.
Yeah, I've been 3 years in this field, and I've seen about 10%. I guess 10% of all is woman CEO. So I think it's not a big portion. So it's rare. In some part, yeah, it's rare. I think it's rare, but woman CEO is increasing recently, especially in biotech. So yeah. That's
okay. Okay, Grace, you want to add something on that?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for the question, Magda. It's true that we don't have many women entrepreneurs in the scene. However, I don't know if you heard during my speech, my portfolio, Dr. Noah Biotech, the CEO is actually woman. It's not that we favor women entrepreneurs when investing. However, there are some stellar accomplishments being made by female entrepreneurs, especially in biohealthcare scene. So yeah, we're happy to meet female entrepreneurs.
Okay, do we have more comments on that? Okay, so we will move to the next question. Okay, they are like 2 questions from Julian from Admit, which is a company that's going to present after. He asked, and I'm going to ask the 2 questions at the same time. Okay, the range of investment you usually look for one in euros or US dollars in order to invest. Okay, and the second question is, after investing or while investing, you expect the company to have a physical office or a subsidiary in Korea? So who wants to answer first this question? Oscar, Shuhuan?
Actually, I can start. Okay.
So you want me to repeat the question?
No. Just for the first questions is about the range of investments.
Yes.
Maybe in euros, maybe the minimum is about the 1 million or something, but the size of the investment is just open to the companies, and it depends on the character or the situation or the stage of the companies. So I think that this is just the matter of the discussion. And also for the second questions, so do I need some physical offices in South Korea? No. Yeah, just if you work your startups in Spain, maybe we can see via the virtual the platforms, or maybe I can move, or you can move. Or there are many ways of discussion. So the physical office is not the matter of fact problem.
Okay, thank you.
From my view, yeah.
Yeah, you could add also the phase where you invest, which is very related to the size of the check, okay? Because there's another question, so we can merge the questions, okay? And also you could add in what stage you prefer to invest.
Actually, I have shared the portfolios before, so okay. I have invested from the the seed, from the stage C. Also, the Mirae Venture Investment has invested some pre-IPO deals as well. So we are open to any stages of those companies.
Okay, so Mr. Song, you want to answer the question?
Yeah, actually, I agree with Juhan, and to add some, and I think the first question could depend on the funds. So as you know, every single fund has specific purpose, so which means some funds cannot invest to overseas. So, however, the most of VCs in South Korea have the multiple vehicles or funds which can invest to global companies. So that could not be the problem. Thank you.
Okay, so Grace, your turn.
Yeah, about this investment stage, I think it really depends on how you define each stage, because in Korea, for us, usually Series A is, our Series A is like a seed stage for US or European investors. But to clarify, as per KB Investment, in Korean way, we invest in mostly Series A to B, and the ticket size is about 2 million to 3 million for early startups. And for late stage startups, our ticket size doesn't really matter. Like I told you during my speech, we invest as small as like 200, 300K to as large as 20 million or 30 million. So it really depends on whether or not the startup has a lot of potentials. And yeah, about the second question from Julian, the physical office, it doesn't really matter, since yeah, we're already, you know, as long as we decided to invest abroad, we shouldn't really care about the existence of the physical office, right?
Okay, thank you, Grace. Okay, just to clarify the question, maybe it's more related, not what you do in Korea in the size of the investment size, but more in from what investment size would you feel comfortable in investing abroad? Okay, the farther, the larger the investment. It seems to us. Okay, although with COVID-19, maybe this has changed. Okay, and maybe your checks can be the same size as in Korea, because you know things have changed. So maybe Hyung or Chloe want to add something on that question.
I think it's the same answer to the prior answers, so not adding special one, but it really depends on the characteristic of each fund. So for example, for our US capital, we have 11 funds, as I mentioned, and each fund have its purpose, and some funds are focused on the early stage investment, but we are also establishing now one fund that is really for the growth fund, so that has ticket size like 10 million at once. So it really depends on the fund. And maybe for the second questions, so we are not pursuing any startup which has based on the Korea physically, but rather if we invested in some startups overseas, then maybe we can help them to connect some pharmaceutical in Korea, and they can have the partnership where they can launch a new office in Korea. So that in that way we can have some supportive care. So that's my question and answer. And you have more?
I'm okay. Yeah, I'm agreed to rest of people.
Okay, so we're gonna move to the last question. Okay, the last question is made by Xavier Palomer. He's the CEO of Seül, and he's asking how you see mental health market in Korea, and if is it a market that interests you for the ones that you are interested in that market, that you invest in that field. So please go ahead, the ones that could answer this question on the mental health market.
Yeah, so before I joined this Miraeus Capital, I worked for J&J Janssen, and we have a pretty much CNS pipeline. And I think that we have some big problem in mental health in Korea. So for example, our suicide rate is the first rank in OECD country. So we have that much big issue with mental health in Korea. So I think the size can be, I mean, we have a potential. Although it's not very happy, but we see some, we are pursuing some opportunity maybe with the startup, maybe if they can address that suicide issue or the mental illness. I think I'm pretty welcome. Yeah.
Okay, you will know more about this startup after in the pitching session. Do we have more comments on that mental health market?
Yeah, I agree too.
The mental health care theme is pretty trending these days in Korea, especially as in startups that develop digital therapeutic softwares for like ADHD, PTSD, and some other mental diseases. I think that Korean investors are increasingly interested in those kind of startups.
Okay,
Chloe.
Go ahead, Chloe.
Yeah, sorry. I agree to Hyojang, and I think due to many difficulties in developing biotherapeutics pipelines, especially in mental health market, mental health. So there are many trials developing therapeutics with IT technology based on IT. So, for example, digital therapeutics like counseling application and other things like using digital therapeutics using VR, AR, and other applications. So I think there are chances to discover the DTX and digital healthcare startups especially in mental health markets.
Okay, so we have time for just one more question, and if not, we're gonna close this open session, or we're gonna move to the closed one for the pitches. So okay, it seems that there are no more questions. Okay, so I just would like to thank our office in Korea, Dr. Song, Hyojang, Grace, and Oscar, and Ho Juan. Okay, and if you want to add something, I give you the floor.
Sure. Thank you for the session, Rio. Well, yeah, so that's it for today, and I thank you all again for attending today's seminar, and we encourage you to connect with us with all the resources. If you have any questions or regarding the market or today's presentation, you can contact us by email, or you can contact us to our office in Barcelona. You all know where we are, and we all will be happy to provide additional support. Okay. So thank you so much.